Um, our our um, our plan this morning is first to do some celebrating of some of the good work that's been done over these last 7 months in the form of outreach and many other things that um, our outreach chairs, Laura and Kathy, have put together to give us a presentation. And then we'll just have some chance to catch up, to ask questions. Members of the staff and the vestry are here to answer questions as well. And just to have an open conversation, because we haven't had a chance to do that in all this time. So kind of consider this a
Oh, sorry, I put you on mute.
You've been dying to do that for a long time, haven't you? Consider this a semi-annual meeting of both congregations together, just a chance for us to check in, hear some good news, ask some questions, and take a little bit of a look ahead as best we can as well. So I'm going to turn it over now to Kathy and Laura to give us some vision of what's been happening over these past few months as far as outreach.
Great, thank you. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So we just wanted to sort of do a little bit of reflection and celebration on the things that we have been up to, both the outreach team sponsored events, and then there's been a lot of good work going on throughout both congregations that the outreach team didn't set up. So we wanted to celebrate that today. Way back in March, we gathered at St. Mark's in Southborough and we took a look at what outreach means, both in the Episcopal and the Lutheran traditions. And we looked at Bible verses and we started to wrestle with sort of where we wanted to go as an outreach team. And then Corona. So like everything else, we've had to adapt and change how we do things, all the while knowing that our good works were going to be more necessary than ever. So we've pulled together some pictures from some of our events. We'll highlight some, but it's not even everything I don't think that people have been doing. So we can be thankful that God has given us an opportunity. And so let's see what some of those opportunities have been. So Common Cathedral, as you may remember, usually we provide lunch and go in and worship with our unhoused siblings in Christ on Boston Common. That could not happen this year, but we did still pull together lunches. We couldn't make them together like we usually do, but we had some very cute helpers. Oops, sorry about that. Who helped to put together sandwiches. And you can see in the picture behind Barbara what that effort looks like. So even if we couldn't go, we were still able to provide 150 lunches, which they then distributed. Laura, did you want to talk about Family Promise?
Sure. So in the summer, we typically host Family Promise families at the UCC Conference Center. And this year, because of the COVID virus, the families actually ended up staying in hotels instead of in churches or at that conference center. And so, we weren't hosting, but we were able to collect money for donations. And we had 8 people donate. We don't know the exact total, but that it was over $1,000, which is pretty good considering we didn't have our Battle of the Sanctuary this year. And, because there was such a great response to the needs of these families during the virus, Family Promise actually took on a 5th family. And so typically they have 4 families and they added a 5th family. So we're really proud of that effort. The other thing that we're doing coming up, or we're in the process of doing now, is Family Promise is going to have an auction on December 6th. And we are putting together a gift basket for that auction.
Excellent. So you may remember before March, we actually started talking about and soliciting baby blankets. They typically at Boston Children's, when they have to do a baptism, the family gets a beautiful blanket during a very trying time. And now with coronavirus and all of us being at home, um, some of us had more time. And you can see from these pictures, we were able to collect 19 baby blankets. And then Carol was able to package them up and send them off. So this is a project that we can keep doing. Those of us who have the skill and are at home, the blankets are 20 by 20, 30 by 30, and they are white. If you're in need of yarn, the outreach team can set you up. Just let us know. So this is a, oh,
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Laura.
I don't know much about this. I don't know if Judy is on the line. She can speak to this too. This is the first time I heard of this. So this is one of the events that happened that is not part of outreach.
Yeah, this is Judy. I'm here. The Pinefield Garden Club has been taking care of this garden. It was established, I think it's 1989, by a family who's lost their adult son to cancer. There are a lot of native plants in this garden. It's just a lovely little place. If you don't know where to look for it, you'd never see it. It's behind the Cancer Care Center at Framingham Union. And they're just volunteers, and we go and try to keep up with the weeds and keep the leaves off the paths and so forth.
Thank you so much for doing that, Judy.
Looks like it's a beautiful respite for people who are in a difficult situation. Okay, and then another outreach event that we typically do is a diaper drive where we stand outside of a local supermarket and educate people about the need for diapers. Obviously that wasn't going to happen, so we put it online, and in addition to almost 3,500 diapers, and lots of wipes, lots and lots of wipes. We collected $245 so that a place to turn, which is a food pantry in Natick, can continue to provide these very necessary supplies to their families that they service. So thank you to everyone who donated to that.
We also did a backpack drive, and Angelina actually ran this project, collecting school supplies and bringing them and dropping them off. We had interest in doing school supply drives in the past, but haven't had enough hands to put it together. And this year, Angelina stepped in, so we're very grateful to her and excited to have added this project this year.
Absolutely. Thank you, Angelina. Hopefully you've been reading along in your weekly emails every week. Outreach has a section on how you can make sure that you are registered to vote and where you need to go to do that. But once you're registered, maybe you need a little encouragement. And so Laura worked with an organization that sends postcards and little notes out to people to remind them of the importance of voting. So thank you for doing that, Laura.
You're welcome. We are still supporting Daniel's Table, and you can see this intrepid group bringing donations to or buying donations for Daniel's Table. And so we've delivered foods, we've gotten healthy snacks. Kathy Corcoran's sister helps us sometimes by grabbing some things from her job at Ocean State Job Lot that they would like to donate, that Ocean State Job Lot would like to donate. And Kathy gives them to us so that we can find these things a home. And so some slippers were donated to Daniel's Table in that way. And it looks like we also provided some new clothes. So ongoing. We're always helping with Daniel's Table. That's something that I know Bonnie and Darlene and others spend a lot of time there.
All right. And so we know being at home, whether you're at home with the same spouse every day or you have no one at home, it gets a little lonely. So Joan Gay and Bonnie have been calling friends of both churches just to touch base, make sure that they hear a friendly voice. For those of us who aren't technologically savvy, this is a lonely time. And so they have been calling just to say hi. Um, Visits have resumed at nursing homes after a long period of no visitors. And so we have this gorgeous shot from a visiting booth set up at Heritage. And I am particularly fond of this sunset because it feels like a time long ago where things were so much more fun or more together. So this is really wordy, but it's so beautiful. So we solicited what y'all had been doing or just what you wanted to think about. And Lauren Webb from the office sent this beautiful reflection. And if you don't mind, I'd like to read it, even though it's a little long. Since the church had gone virtual starting in mid-March, I had more free time to help out somewhere. Something I actually always wished I had more time to do. My family and I did the grocery shopping for some older friends, and I did and still continue to shop for my parents and in laws. My daughter was able to help my father with a lot of home projects since she wasn't at school, and she's able to move faster and bend easier than a 74-year-old man. However, our largest and most fun project was helping make PPE at a local hospital. My husband works there and heard they needed help making disposable gowns for the workers to wear as supplies were running low and they could not get replenished fast enough. My husband and our two kids, 15 and 23 years old, recruited some of our family friends and even my son's girlfriend. We all had set schedules and worked in 3-hour shifts at Gown Town to help reach the goal of 10,000 gowns made. We worked from April until June along with other hospital employees volunteering their time. Some had been furloughed, some were working around their usual hours. Some were my husband's colleagues, but some were just employee family members like us that heard help was needed and they felt compelled to work. I remember the first day we went, we had members like us, we had long discussed the safety of it, knowing we may be putting ourselves in direct danger, and we were nervous and worried. People depended on us to be healthy and be able to take care of them. But after seeing how well we were protected and meeting the others who were there, selflessly drawn to the need to help somewhere, anywhere, we all knew we would be okay. And by the end, my husband and I had even been promoted to shift managers in charge of running the day's group. We had such a great time and met so many wonderful people who just wanted to help. I was working the day we reached the 10,000th gown goal, truly bittersweet. The woman in charge cried, and people came in and cheered. I will always look back on it as a great moment in time in a completely uncertain, devastating period. My kids actually wanting to do the right thing and working as a family for the greater good. We never did get sick, not even a sniffle. Actually, no one who helped did. We all just came out of it knowing we did the most we could at the time it mattered most. And that's worth remembering for a lifetime. Being able to help actually made me want to carry that on longer. I just offered to work at a local food bank clothing center a few hours a week. My daughter's school is hybrid for now, so I have some free time, and I want someone else to be able to benefit from it. I am looking forward to seeing people I don't live with and knowing again I am helping the community the best I can, which I think sums up what all of us have been up to. But we know that there's a lot of work left to do. So these are some of the things that we sort of have in our heads for the next couple of months. But we would love to hear other ideas too for reimagining how we do the work of outreach when we can't physically gather together. So the first one is kind of a fun thing that we're doing. We are going to hold a drive-through food collection next Saturday from 11 to 12 at the church. The goal is to collect 500 food items. And if we are one of the first groups to do that, Thrivent Financial will donate an additional $500 monetary donation to Danielle's table. So information will be in the weekly emails, so make sure you're reading that. But it's an exciting opportunity for us to quickly gather a bunch of food. So make sure you're looking out for that. Laura mentioned the Family Promise online auction. So if you don't find things that you want at the church's online auction, check that out. They are also offering an online virtual concert on December the 6th, and you can get the information from their website about how to join. Once again, we will be donating grocery gift cards to Wayside Youth and Family Services for Thanksgiving. Stay tuned for that. Usually we Christmas carol at the Carlisle House. Obviously, we can't do that this year, so we'll be exploring some other ways that we can bring cheer to residents. I fear it might be likely they might be under the no visitor rule by then. So anything that we can do to encourage them will be good. And baptismal blankets are always welcome. So of course, here's my big pitch. How do you get involved? Now you've seen all these cool things and you want to be part of it. You can sign up for the email. It does not commit you to coming to every monthly meeting, but you are certainly welcome to do that as well. They are announced in the weekly meetings or weekly emails, and the dates are in tidings, which you should be reading every week so you know what's going on. We're also going to post this presentation, and once it's up, you'll be able to learn more about any of the things that we talked about today. And the last point I'll make is that if you find that you are in need of help, we are here. Please don't hesitate to reach out. In the weekly emails, we've had information about where to go if you're a Framingham resident. But please, it's a different time, so don't hesitate to ask for help if you need it. All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Kathy.
everybody.
You all are amazing. This was so wonderful to see, and I've heard about these things, but to see everything that everybody's been doing over these months listed as one big presentation is so great and so inspirational, and such a reflection of your faith and your dedication. And I'm really just proud to know you all and all this good work that you've done. Bonnie Govea was very good in emailing me and asking me to make an announcement today, and I forgot because things sometimes never change. But she wanted me to make sure that you knew about the drive-through food drive that's happening Saturday, as Kathy just described, Saturday from 11 to noon in the church parking lot. Buy the things you would normally buy for the food drive that we have at church, non-perishables. And you don't even have to get out of your car. Just drive up, pop your trunk. They will take everything and then bring everything to Danielle's Table for distribution. Danielle's Table is also looking for donations of paper bags. So if you have a stack of paper bags in your house, just bring that along and they'd be happy to take those as well. So that's Saturday from 11 to noon, the 17th of October. I want to thank, before we kind of switch gears here or hear your stories as well, I want to thank a lot of people who have helped with us getting to this point without falling apart. And that is, my first thanks goes to the staff and to the vestry and to the leadership at LCF as well. The vestry met every 2 weeks on a Saturday morning all through the summer, just to make sure that we were staying in touch through the crisis period of the pandemic, and to see what was happening next, and to make sure that we were all making the right decisions and keeping each other aware of what it was that we needed to do. especially thankful for Margie and Heather and Chris Walter, who are all elected at annual meeting and barely got into their work before everything shut down and their work changed really quickly. Heather and Margie had one in-person meeting with the vestry before we all went digital. And Chris was just starting to learn her work from Martha Puccilu before everything went virtual as well. So huge thanks to them and to Bill for keeping on top of our finances and continuing to get into the building to make sure that everything was squared away that way. Also, huge thanks to Leo and the church school teachers and the children and youth ministry team who had to quickly pivot and create an all virtual, all digital church school program for the fall, which included all kinds of moving parts that we never had to move before. So I'm deeply grateful to everyone who helped us get to this point, at least in our life together as a church on a laptop screen. So does anybody have anything that they want to add to our outreach presentation? Wave your hand real big if you do, and I'll see if I can see you. All right, in that case, we're opening up for any kind of questions. Does anybody have any questions that they want to offer or ask me or anyone on the vestry or anyone on the council or anyone on the staff?
Hi, Julie. It's Patty, the Garabedian.
Hi, Patty.
Hi, everyone. Hi. I was just going to ask about particularly Christmas Eve services. I was really disappointed to see that those services will not be in person. So I was posing to the vestry, is there any thought of utilizing outdoor space, such as even the outdoor chapel that the Lutheran Church has? I don't know if that's even a possibility, but something where we can do even like a brief prayer service or anything on Christmas Eve, because like with everyone, I think it's certainly been challenging, but especially with having kids and my children going with friends to other church services to fulfill that need has been really difficult and very, very challenging. So it was very disappointing to see that services have been canceled.
I'm disappointed too. And I think Framingham is unique in that we are now in week 6, going into week 7 of being a red zone. So it's been hard for me to hear of other clergy in other towns who are doing outdoor worship because they're in towns that are green. And just to, because this is what I'm learning, a red zone means that the infection rate is over 2%, which means that the transmission rate becomes exponential at that point, which is why Framingham schools are not back in session in person. And that's already been pushed off until January at the soonest. And that you've heard me say this already, the public health has already been talking to churches, asking them to look at behaviors that they've found that churches that are hotspots for transmission are so because not so much because people are not following the rules inside the building, but because they're hugging and greeting each other and lingering and chatting out in the parking lot before and after services. So that is why we have extended the prohibition on any in-person gatherings through the year. And I think we're going to have to see what the infection rate is like in December. And that's why we haven't done any outdoor worship so far, because any kind of outdoor gathering is highly monitored by the city right now. So if we are able to do so, I would love to do some kind of gathering, whether it's indoors or outdoors. And I think that'll be something for us to talk about in the next couple of months for sure. Anybody else want to give an answer on that? Okay. The trick is just for us to be flexible and to do as much as we can while keeping everybody safe. I think it's always been the priority for us to keep public health as number one, and we don't want anyone getting sick. So thanks for that. So update to the accessible entrance in the church. If you've been by the church, you see that over the last couple of weeks, the new driveway and parking spaces have been paved, and they still need to be striped. And I think there's one more section of paving that needs to be done, but it's moving along, which is great. So once that is all set, I mean, honestly, we're not using that entrance right now, but the plans for that entrance or the next steps there is to modify the locks in the building. So we want to change the locks on the new entrance, the memorial room entrance, and the usual office wing entrance. To change that to a key card system rather than a metal key system, which will be easier for us to keep on top of and know how many people actually have keys. Because I have a feeling half of Framingham has a key to our building right now, because it's pretty easy to make a copy. And to start using it. So that's good news. We have these capital projects that are moving right along, and we're happy for that as well. And there was another question about the solar array. The paperwork is all set and all signed with the new solar array, which will involve the parking lot and the sanctuary roof. That's going to be a slow one, because it's a slow one anyway, because now it's out of our hands and it's in the hands of Team Solar, and they're the ones that have to deal with the utility and the city and their financiers, their capitalists who are funding this project. The first funding source fell through, and so they're now looking for another one. And then when that all happens, then there's the whole business of permitting and permission. So don't expect anything to look different before next year for sure. Any other questions or things people?
So how much of the parking lot, and how's that going to work? I'm fuzzy on that.
So we have signed a contract with a company called Team Solar, which is a organization, a company that essentially rents square footage of our space to put their solar equipment on, and then they sell their the photovoltaics back to the grid. So we just receive rent from that company. They want, and they will, the contract states that they're going to redo our parking lot and put on some carport solar panels similar to what you see at REI, which means that we will have a covered parking lot with lighting.
Oh, I got you. Okay.
And there will be some panels on the sanctuary roof as well. So that it's been a while since we talked about this. I think I can't even remember how much rent we're getting for it, but it's a good deal for us. We don't have to do any of the work. We don't own any of the equipment. If there's anything broken, it's their problem, not ours. It's and it's a 20-year lease.
Cool.
So that's the plan
there. The carport part was the part that I didn't. Yeah. Cool.
Right. And
that's very nice.
Frankly, that part is going to be an interesting thing for them to try to get through the city, because we're in a residential neighborhood, and if a neighbor doesn't want it, it might not happen. So we'll have to see how that goes along.
Does it limit the number of spaces we have? Does it change the overall number of spaces?
It doesn't, and it actually makes the hi Sarah, by the way. It also makes the parking spots that we tend to neglect, that are kind of in the northish side of the building. will make them more accessible because they'll be striped and there'll be a roof over them.
And I'll assume that'll lessen our snowplow cost as well.
That's our hope. We'll have to see what the snowplow company is willing to negotiate with us. But I mean, there'll be less snow on the ground, so hopefully, yes. The structures themselves are inclined a little bit, so there'll be runoff. The snow will slide off of the roofs and pile up. But that is our hope, that we'll need less plowing, and it'll be nice. There'll be lights underneath it, which we don't have right now. We have that one light that hardly ever works in the parking lot, so it'll help a lot. And they pay for the new parking lot.
Nice.
Yeah.
When we're doing the doors, Julie, can we get the door that goes downstairs to where the pack is, so that could also be where they can come in that way? Right now they can't enter that door. You can exit it, but you can't enter. Be nice if they could enter that door as well.
Yeah, I mean, we can do that now. That's not going to be a capital expense. So if that's not anything they've ever asked me for, but I'm happy to ask them if that's something that they're interested in.
You mean the card access, right?
Yes. It would also be nice for some of the other people not to have to go up and then come back down.
Well,
right.
If I could disagree a little bit, you certainly could. I think that door has a key lock, and it really is only the first person in the building that has to open that, whereas their traffic wouldn't be on key cards anyway. All their students, we wouldn't give key cards to. It only be to
no.
a couple of people.
I understand that, but I'm saying, like, on Tuesday night when they might not be open, choir members could have a key card. They could get in without having to come upstairs and then come back down.
We'll see. Those stairs are not terribly stable, so I don't know if that's going to be a better choice, but we can talk about it for sure.
Julie, regarding the key cards, is there a backup if there's a power outage? I assume that is a powered system.
I imagine so. Yeah, I had a conversation with Perrin locksmiths in in South Framingham, and they have systems like this that they have for churches where there's lots of people who need access. I mean, the big benefit is that once a year or so we can wipe all the keys, and if you still need it, you'd come back to Lauren and she would reissue one for you. But yeah, there's backups like that for sure.
Would it be a physical card, or would it be something like a cell phone app where you can give temporary keys, for example? I mean, we looked at this at LCF in our old building at one point, and using an app-based one, you could give somebody access only during certain times, for example, or visiting if they download the app and you give them a temporary key.
We'll see. I think I mean, we looked at fobs, which require a battery, and so you'd have to change those. And one thing I've learned about over these 7 months is that not everybody has a smartphone, so I don't want to limit the accessibility.
Yeah, I think even the smartphone ones usually have a fob backup, a fob alternative for people who don't have them. But it's nice because you can give, at a last minute, you could send somebody a key and say, okay, this is good for the next 2 hours, so you can go get in the building and do something without come see me and get a fob and go use it and then bring the fob back. It's just a thought.
There's a question. Oh, Laura was reminding me to talk about live streaming from the church. The tech team, which has been working pretty tirelessly over these past months, is getting close to a point where we're able to live stream from the building rather than from my house. So once we update the internet access in the sanctuary, as well as lighting and sound, actually, Susan Dunham, you can tell your dad that the soundboard that has a sticker on it that says "Do not touch without permission from Peter Dunham" is still back there. So that tells us that we haven't touched it in a really long time, and it's time to start touching it. And that it's time to update some of this equipment to make it more web savvy, because there are special kinds of ports that are necessary to make these things possible. So our hope is that we can start live streaming soon, possibly before the end of the year, from the church, and it would continue to be morning prayer, and it would likely be me and Jim and Deacon Susan, and we would continue to have readings and music contributions done by video. And to set this up for a permanent live streaming, because we have learned that we're really reaching people in this new kind of really cool way. And when one day we are back together live and in person, we'll continue to live stream on Sunday mornings as well. And that'll also help with any meetings that we want to live stream, or, a funeral. We had a death in our family recently, and the funeral was in Texas, and we were able to participate by watching their live stream. So this is a technology that's actually going to be benefiting us in all kinds of ways, which is really wonderful. So,
and weddings too.
Sure.
Like my niece's wedding was done that way.
Yep. It'll be a great thing to be able to offer to folks going forward into the future as well. Yeah, there's the details on the solar income that we can anticipate one day. Yes, Pam, talk to us about the upcoming auction and plans for future hospitality.
Great. Most of you hopefully have read in the Friday bulletin that we'll be doing an online auction this year in lieu of our auction night and trivia night. And it's going to be over a 2-week period starting, I believe, the 21st of November through December 5th. And there'll be basically a link that will be sent out to people, and they can bid for items online. The great advantage to this is that you can share it with your friends and family, so people outside of St. Andrews can bid on items, and that, we reach a larger number of people. So we're still gonna solicit items in the same way. I'm gonna be sending a notice out today to everyone who donated last year to see if you'd like to donate something similar or something else. There are a couple ways we can do that. If you are able, I'll be sending a link to the what do you call it? Not the site, but that we're doing the auction through online. And you are able to upload your own item if you wish. Basically, you just register and then put the description of your item. If you have a picture of the item already, you can upload it. That's fine. If that is not in your wheelhouse, that is fine as well. You can let me or Barbara Lovely Lynn know what you're going to donate, and then we'll post the item. So for example, someone already told me they're donating a couple of gift cards. So we'll have like a logo from that restaurant, on the site, so people can see that. If it's a basket or an item, we're going to take a photo of that, and that'll be on the site as well, with all the usual information. I'm just trying to think. So, it'll be a little bit different, but the same type of items. And then we'll have the day after the auction ends. Barbara and I will be at the church for people to come and pick up their items. If you're not able to get out, we can make some kind of arrangements to deliver. We'll figure out all those details, but just be thinking what you can donate. If it's, a business, if it's something you make, a service, the usual type of thing, please let us know. We're hoping to raise lots of funds through this. We're also looking into a dining component, possibly doing kind of like one of the dinners that Chris would arrange, but around the same time, where people can do takeout, and a percentage will go to St. Andrews. And then thirdly, we are planning to do some sort of a trivia night as part of our hospitality team, to have, some fun engagement with the congregation. Our hope is to offer something every month through the hospitality team. I think the first thing we're going to do is do a fall happy hour. We're just trying to figure out the date right now, but it'll be, within the next month, just the time to come and chat with folks. But what we really could use is some ideas from you guys to see what you want to see in terms of social hospitality type activities. I know a lot of people are, on the computer a lot for school and work. So we're trying to make it fun, to be worth your while to come and connect with some of your friends that you haven't seen. So if you have any suggestions for any social ideas, please let either me or Carol or Barbara or Patty know, because we're the committee, or if you'd like to join the committee, we're welcome to have some more people. So thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Pam. It is, we love a party, and it's hard for us not to be able to do it. So the best we can do to stay together and see each other's faces and do some good work is always a good thing. We've started talking with Rob and Delilah about Giving Tree this year. The trick is to find out from the organizations what they're up for, if they want gift cards, if they want to skip it this year, if they want to try something later in the year. So we're waiting to hear back from the organizations on how we can help. What's the best way that we can help them this year? Any other questions anybody has? I want to tell you that I get it, that this is hard and imperfect and insufficient, that many of you are on Zoom all week long, and the last thing you want to do is a little bit more online stuff for your weekly refreshment and devotion and connection with God and with your friends. And I get it. And I wish we could do more. I wish we could be together safely. And I look forward to the day when we can. In the meantime, wash your hands, wear a mask. Maybe we can get out of this red zone sooner than later. And I also get it for your kids, that it's not easy to have them be in school either all week or a portion of the week, and then another sit down in front of the computer time for church school. But I really think the more we see each other's faces, as much as we're able to, as much as we can stand it, as much as your kids can stand it, I think the better we'll be able to hang on to one another as we go through this point and see what our church looks like at the end, see what has fallen away, see what has become important, and see what which is the true heart of who we are as Christians and as a community together, what's going to stay and be strengthened by this whole thing.
Julie?
Yeah.
I just want to thank you guys. In the midst of terrible uncertainty and not knowing and not being able to, this is the first time, this is inventing the wheel. That you and the staff and the vestry, and I'm really glad you had this meeting, because it's really nice to hear what has been happening and to see more faces. But thank you, because you're our fearless leader, and you're
fearful sometimes.
And so, but thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks you
for that.
Us.
Thanks for that. Laura's mentioned that we have the diocesan guidelines, and the guidelines do say that there'll be no in-person children's programming until there's a vaccine, but kids can come to church. It's a weird detail in there. I don't know what the distinction is. So whatever children's programming we offer and youth programming we offer will be digital until there's a vaccine available. But if we go back to worship somehow, kids and youth are invited to that. Anything else?
I love watching the wind blow through Pam's hair.
And Chris's dog photobombing her.
I
Yes.
know. I know. Well, I miss you all. And, we are in this together, and it's not what we want, and it's not perfect, but I'm so grateful for your faithfulness. I'm so grateful when you come talk to me if something is not going well. I'm grateful if you tell me, one of the hardest things for me to get used to is not being able to catch up with you on Sundays, being able to pull each other aside and have a chat or catch up on what's been going on in your week. We really, I feel like I only have a chance to talk to you when something terrible has happened. So stay in touch. You know where I am, you know how to get in touch with me. And I miss you all. And I look forward to when we can be back together again.
Julie, if I may say a few words as well.
Yes, please.
Much for all that you've shared with us today. And I too miss you all. And it's great to see you. Your faces on the screen. It's great to see you in coffee hour and worship and whenever we can be together. And for those connected with Lutheran Church of Framingham, I echo what Julie says, that if there's anything you have to share, anything you want to ask me about, please feel free to do that. We can only be strong together if we communicate and stay in touch with each other. And I'm grateful for all the ways that we've all found to lift each other up and encourage each other and pray for each other. And certainly I have felt the warmth and the peace of knowing that others are praying for me in this time. It's a kind of unusual time, obviously, for all of us. I always say the obvious things. And as a deacon who is, called to serve the church on the intersection of the church and the world, when you can't get out in the world as much, it's kind of a weird place to be. So I do appreciate the prayers and the thoughts, and again, so grateful for all of you and your faithfulness in this time. Thanks.
Well, thanks everybody. Again, I'm grateful to you. I'm grateful to your forgiveness, because we've never done this before. I've never done this before. I found myself, if you heard my sermon this morning, I was talking about, picking the different faces of God. And I was kind of empathizing with the God of Moses this morning. Like, that's it. I've done my best. No one's paying attention. Everyone's giving me a hard time. That's it. Forget it. I'm out. I was feeling God, that kind of God this week. But just like God in the book of Exodus, and just like us right now, we've never done this before. So things are gonna get screwed up, and things are not gonna be perfect. And I already am thinking of things that I could have done differently over the summer. But here we are now. And if anything were to happen to any one of you, if any one of you were to get sick because of a decision I made,
right,
I don't know what I would do. So if I seem like I'm being too conservative, if it seems like and yeah, we have the vestry making the decision, but the buck stops with me. And if anything were to happen to one of you because of a decision I made, I could not live with that in my heart. So I hope you know that this is all out of love. This is all out of concern. And this is all out of how much I care about you all. So if it seems like I'm getting out of hand, or if I'm not being creative enough, or if I'm saying no too much, that's why. And I hope you know that.
You're
Could
right.
I chime in and second that thought, Julie? I think that you are absolutely doing the right thing. The country continues to struggle with keeping the infection rate down, and unfortunately, we're not being successful. You can take a look at the multitude of charts, to take a look at Massachusetts, to take a look at Middlesex County, and the infection rate is going up. And everything extra we do encourages the infection rate to increase. And along with the infection increase, there is the 1 to 5% fatalities from it, which is just heartbreaking. By us limiting our contact, we perhaps enable contact for things that are more necessary to do in person. There's a lot of kids that need school, kids with special needs. There are things that are no substitute for in person, and they have to happen. The more things that we do that are optional, that aren't necessary, makes those necessary things less possible and hurts others in the process. There's no hiding from the virus. The truth of the matter is it sucks. We're all going to take a hit somehow. And if this is the hit that we have to do as a parish, that's the right thing to do.
Right.
Thanks, Bill.
Julie, could I put my my hat on for a second?
Yes, please.
My warden hat. Just wanted to share with everybody. Julie's talked about how the vestry has been meeting consistently, and wanted to make sure everybody knows that the vestry is pretty much unanimous with Julie on this as well. Not to necessarily speak for everyone individually out of turn, but all these meetings we've had, all these conversations, everyone's pretty much been in agreement with every lockstep. And for pretty much all the same reasons that Julie said as well. We're all feeling the hurt and the frustration the same way you guys are as well, and that Julie is, and we all are. But this is not just Julie being overly conservative. This has been the group of the 12 of us being conservative and trying to make sure we're doing the right thing and the moral thing and the inclusive thing for everybody at all the points. So, and again, if anybody has any other questions, comments, and you don't want to bother Julie, you feel like getting another voice, I'm happy to talk to anybody. I've talked to some people already, but feel free to reach out, call, email. I'll put on the warden hat and have some of the hard conversations as well, and listen to the frustrations. But just again, echoing what Julie said, that this has been hard, but we're all in this together. We're all trying to row the boat in the same way.
Thanks, Scott. And once again, thanks to all of you. This is being recorded. This will be available for anybody to watch. If anybody has any questions about what we've been doing or how we came to these decisions, if anybody wants to see the fabulous outreach presentation that we started with, I please encourage them to do so. I haven't heard from anybody who couldn't be here this morning who would like a second Q&A time, but we're happy to do that. We can do it once a month. We can do it once every 6 months, whatever folks like. Just keep in touch and let us know what's helpful. Okay. God bless you all. I miss you.
Thank you.
Thank
Hope
you.
to see
This
you
was great.
soon.
Really